Hello guys, Andre here with Wings Mobile Detailing Podcast. I hope you guys can hear me well. I'm driving right now, decided to record a podcast because I was listening to my own last episode, which was super good. Now, I wanted to put some addition to that, but also cover the fact if you guys are detailers, specifically for you guys that are detailers starting your business and have your own van, perhaps you have a helper or an employee and you're like, man, I want to grow, I want to start thinking big now. It's easy. It's not easy, but it's also not hard to start your detailing business, start detailing cars, get a helper, but it's the actual entrepreneur starts when you start hiring people and expanding.
Welcome to the Wings Mobile Detailing Business and Automotive Podcast, the only podcast that will guide you on how to start and grow six-figure companies. As our team expand from one business location to worldwide domination, you will get step-by-step insights from a millennial franchisor and franchise owner with your host, Andre Mezalira.
And it starts to get, the actual entrepreneurship is when you start expanding and you need training systems to leverage and train other people, train your trainers, your managers. That's what expansion means. But how do you get to that? How do you get to this point? As covered on my last podcast, a way to get to that is already leveraging from businesses that are growing, which is franchise. But that was the last podcast. I don't want to toot my own horn here with my business because we are a franchise. But that's a great way, obviously, leveraging from all systems that are already in place. You don't want to. Why would you open all the systems, and new training systems, a new restaurant if you can franchise, if you can leverage from an existing one that everything is ready, all the training and everything. So if you're doing the same thing, which is providing the best quality detail for clients. But now, if you want to get to this point, and here's what we're going to cover. By we, I mean me, I'm here by myself. Man, if you are first growing, you have your own guys, you're already training, your helper, perhaps you already got a helper, you hire somebody, or you don't even know how to find your first employee. Finding your first employee can be a challenge. Finding your second employee can be a challenge, and your third can be really difficult. But then once you're like, once you find if you're on your fourth one, finding employees then will not be as difficult anymore because you already know how to do it. You're gonna have new problems. So when you first start your business, your problems is acquiring reviews, right? Client reviews. And if you get a negative review, that ruins your day. That's what happens when you're the first year in business or so. Because then when you're many years in business, for example, then the problems becomes, how do I find employees? If you get a review, it's not going to affect you anymore because you already perhaps got plenty of reviews. So what I'm saying is, as I was saying, that's not going to affect you anymore because you already got plenty of reviews, like I said, and it's not going to getting a negative review. For example, maybe your team committed a mistake. It's not going to be the problem anymore. You committed a mistake because you're over it. You have new problems. That's not going to affect your day. Something else is going to affect your day. Then it's going to be employees, and that's a huge burden. That's why 95% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. Why? Because that's when it gets to the point of, okay, I need to expand and find employees. Bam, that's when it gets, the real deal starts, the leveraging. Now, what do you need to know when you're going to hire? And this is going to be more of a simple podcast. What you're going to need to know is, what are you trying to do when you hire people at leverage? You're trying to create multiple of you, right? So you want them to do as great of a service as you do, right? You wanted them to, that's pretty much it. That's the one thing what you want your employees. that. And then after you find, let's say, a great employees that does a great service of what you do, is going to be on how to manage them, the legal stuff. Then there's those steps. Like you're gonna have a lot more expenses. You need employees compensation insurance, workers comp. You need that because if they get hurt, so that's different. So let's start from basics. First, you're gonna need to train them. You're gonna need to make them like you, and for that, you need to train, right? So you go find somebody and you train them. That's easy. You are there with them and you train them yourself. That's easy. But what if your plan is to actually expand, right? This is what this is all about. If you're gonna expand, you need multiple of you, meaning you need multiple people training. So you need to train a trainer, because you can't be training all the new people that show up to your company, right? If you're actually growing. So you're gonna need to train your first employee so well that he can pass it along to other people, right? Now here's the thing. You train your one employee so well that he passes along, right? The problem is, what if this trainer of yours leave the company? Then you're screwed. You need to find a way to train them faster. So what do? You think about how you got trained, how you trained yourself. Did you attend a course? Did you learn online through YouTube videos? Many detailers, that's how they learn. They learn through hours and hours of watching videos, reading blogs. All right, so you want to create a training system, because you're not going to be able to just solely. You want to make sure that they learn the way you learned. And here's the thing. Then if you want to create a training videos for yourself, or let's say perhaps you learned through other videos through somebody else. Use that person, use the same method that you learned from for your employees. So you're leveraging the training. It's not like you have to create a training system. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to leverage the way that you learned. Perhaps you can leverage even that. For the same way that you learned, you can give that material or whatever to that trainees of yours. Things start to get hard from there. So training, definitely, that's the one thing that's hard, to train employees and to keep the employees as well. So let's say after you actually you're like, you have your helper, you found one, but you're like, you want to hire faster, right? So that comes before training. I skipped myself here. So hiring come before training, and maybe I gotta cover that, right? So you found your first employee through your friend of yours, but you can't find 10 new employees as you're hiring along the time, all through friends. You can maintain the same method that got you to where you are to continue to grow. There's this saying that keep doing what you did that took you there. Keep doing that, and it's going to get you to the next level. I mean, how is that going to work? If you need 50 employees, for example, when you're going to grow to 50 employees, you don't even, a lot of people don't even have 5 friends. Your first employee was a friend of theirs, maybe. But so training is very simple. Everything you do, don't try to recreate the wheel. How does the company find employees? Big companies, where do they go? That's where you go. Where's a good training, a good hiring website that you can find employees? Where do the company goes to find employees? I'm saying about different industry. They can go to lead system that get you employees. So let's say Indeed.com is one of them. Your Facebook job, you post a job there. LinkedIn, it's not going to be much helpful for detailers, the LinkedIn profile. But that's it. You're not trying to recreate a wheel and you see, okay, I need employees. What do other companies do to find employees? Okay, they use this website. Okay, that's how I'm going to do it. You create a job post there. And then if you're paying them, you want to find out how you pay them. That's the easy part. Those are the things you can figure it out. But the hard thing here is finding employees, do the same thing that the other companies do, and then the hard part becomes the training. Bam. now you may be stuck in between the two. You may be stuck, or how do I? We're talking about growth here. We're talking about you growing your detailing business to multi-units, right? But in between the two steps of finding employees and training them is you finding good employees. After you find them, perhaps they're not good, perhaps they don't show up to the actual interview. So you find them, you interview them. You're probably to find one good one, you're probably gonna have to go through 15 interviews to find one good one. And that's it. That's how you do it. It's hard, but that's how it is. That's why businesses don't pull it through, because it's hard after you get to the point where you need employees. So there, you hired them, you talked to them on the phone, you did a phone interview, we asked the questions that you want to ask. And for you to know which questions to ask, guys, you can find all of this material under Wings Mobile Detailing YouTube channel. Type Wings Mobile Detailing, subscribe, and we have a Wings Mobile Detailing Roundup series that we cover about hiring, all the processes of hiring, what type of questions to ask on a phone interview for detailers. Everything is there. If you're a detailer, you must follow us and subscribe to not only the podcast and the YouTube as well. To avoid the problem of the employee not showing up, or the potential employee not showing up the next day, what we do is we simply the day before, and that's on the roundup business that we post on YouTube, is before the next day that you're supposed to show up and do a ride along with you, for example, to go out in detail for you to see how they do the work. That's what you're going to schedule them for. You ask the day before, you ask them for their ID. Hey, give me your ID so I can put you on the profile here. And I know this sounds weird. It's not weird to ask for the ID, not at all. You must have their ID, or their driver's license. But the reason you're doing that is because if this is one of the employee candidates that is not going to show up the next day, most likely he's not going to text you back with the employees the night before. He probably given up before and was iffy. He wasn't 100% on the phone, but he committed to it, and then he's not going to show up. So you ask for the ID, and if he sends you his driver's license send you a picture of it, you ask for a picture, obviously. So if he sends you that, most likely he's going to show up the next day. He might not, but at least you cut out 50-50 chance. Obviously, going to show up or not. All right, he committed. He sent me his driver's license, so most likely he's going to show up to the ride along. Great. So you found one, you go to their struggles, you train them, and bam, didn't work out. You lose that, you start all over the process again. That's how business is. And then you try again, you keep going, and you find another one, you train the guy, like, man, I like this guy, I'm gonna hire another one now for this guy to train. And then when you hire this other one, the guy leaves again, and now you're back with one employee. And then you train, and then this is reality. This is reality of business. That you may say, oh, but how do I avoid all this? You can take these steps that I'm showing you throughout this podcast and videos on how to minimize, shorten the amount of training time, shorten the amount of no-shows. But this is the reality. This business is hard, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of setbacks. You're going to hire one, great. When you're happy, bam, business is a roller coaster, hits you in the hits you in the nuts. So that's gonna happen, and then you don't quit. You don't give up. So that's how you do it, and you find another one, and then you train that person. The person's doing well, and then you have one van. You have this guy that's trained super well. You finally you pay him a good amount to make him a trainer. At the beginning, you're not going to be able to profit much from your business. Really, you're not supposed to be going out on trips, because you're going to have to invest on paying this first guy well so that he stays under your company if you find a good one, right? He's your trainer. And then you find another guy, bam, the guy trains, and then when your one unit, one van is full of clients, and you have two good people working on that van, you may be able to then, I'm going to invest in another van now, right? I'm going to invest in another van, double down on marketing, work hard, and then train with the second unit while one guy goes using the other van. You're training another guy for the secondary van that you bought, and you go from there. Then you start, if you grow to 2 employees, the third employee with you on your second van, you're gonna have to find out how you're gonna pay him. You might pay them per car. You might pay them, let's say, $40 per car per detail. You might pay them $13 an hour. If you do everything that you do, this is what's important, guys, on the business. That's why you're not gonna have a lot of money left out. Because everything that you do in the business, you're gonna need to have systems. If you decide, I'm gonna pay them hourly, how are you gonna track those hours? Are you gonna write it down? Are you gonna ask him to write it down, the hours he worked, and then at the end of the week you just look through the piece of paper? No, you start well from the beginning, because you might say, oh, that works, man, I can do that. Yeah, you can do that when you have 2 freaking employees. What if then, if your goal is to grow 50 people, how are you going to keep track of the time through a piece of paper? No, you start systems from the get-go, from the beginning. So you're like, okay, everything that you do, I'm gonna pay them hourly. I need a software, an app that they can download on their phone and they can track the hours, or a CRM system, that can actually track the hours. Bam. Are you paying them weekly, or are you paying them monthly, or paying them daily? If you're paying them weekly, for example, it's not like you're gonna count the amount of hours and then send them the money. No, then you start having a system for a payroll, or if you're 1099 them, whatever you're doing. I don't want to get to the legal stuff here because there's all that as well, but the point is, I don't want to go too far because this is like so wide. This topic is so wide. But the point overall is create systems. Create systems thinking that, hey, I'm going to have 50 employees. How is it going to work for me to train 5 more? You always create systems. You're training them. You found out a way to train them. You create systems for training. If you're the one training them, if you took on that level, I'm going to train them, so you have to multiply yourself. So you have to create videos so that they watch, so that, because you're not going to be able to be 50 places in one time, train 50 employees in one time. I'm using exaggerated numbers here, right? But still, same thing applies. It's hard, but once you do it, you're going to hit your head many times. When you do hit your head, when you do find your first employee and it doesn't work out, and then you go find your second one, it's like you spend 3 months and it doesn't work out again, that's not a reason to quit. That is normal. If you find your first employee works out perfectly, you find your second employee works out perfectly, you're about to buy your second van perfectly, if everything's going perfect, something is wrong. Something's wrong, because business is not perfect. Alright, so if you're going through a roller coaster ride, you're like, I'm gonna give up, this is never gonna work, it means you're doing the right thing. That means it's not how you see on Instagram that everything grows to perfect, linear, and just growth. Whatever it seems like it's easy growth, if you perhaps you're having a sensation in your entrepreneurial life that everything's going smooth, 90% of the time when that's happening, that's when you should worry, because something, a tsunami is about to hit you. A big wave is about to hit you. So it's not supposed to go not even near perfect. It's not supposed to go great. It's not supposed to go good. It's supposed to go tough, hard. So you find your second van. I covered up all of it in regards to the training. Now, one very important step is you can go through all that. You can go of years of struggles of creating all the system, creating systems to pay employee, create systems to train employee, create systems to hire them, create the systems to track their time. Or like I said, you can think big and leverage from a company, leverage from a franchise. In this case, detailing, Wings Mold Detailing is a franchise. So If you invest in a franchise, it's gonna save you a lot of money, and it's gonna save you years of it's going to save literally years. It's going to save you time. That's what I'm trying to say. You're not going to have to spend all the time creating systems when you already have all the systems in place, attached to your business, because that's how franchise works. And you just grow. All your focus is to grow, acquire more and more, and provide services, because all the systems, all the back end is built already. People who think big thinks like this: leveraging, taking equity, leveraging from a business. And guys, you may reach out to us, Wings Mobile Detailing, ask about the franchise, and we can definitely talk to you more about it. But stay tuned on the podcast, YouTube, and we're gonna try to teach you guys a lot more, all of you detailers out there.